Hello, Cathy speaking. I'm here with my mother Linda.
Hey, hello everybody.
Welcome back to the cinema.
Thank you. It's been ages actually.
It's been ages!
Yeah.
Can you remember the last time you came on?
The last time I was on a live one, I can't.
A live one?
A live one.
What does that mean?
The last one I did with you was when I had fallen, and we did it by Skype hookup or telephone hookup.
Right.
It was that, what was it called? I kept calling it Towering Inferno.
Oh God, I've forgotten the name of it.
The Chris Rock movie.
No, it's not the Chris Rock movie, it's The Rock.
Who's Chris Rock?
Chris Rock is an American comedic actor.
Oh, okay, so it was The Rock.
Yeah, it was The Rock.
Okay.
God, I can't. Oh, Inferno. No, it wasn't Inferno. God,
No.
I've forgotten the name. It's
Anyway,
tragic. And it was
yeah.
a special double bonus we did with
Yeah,
Pip and his mom.
Skyscraper.
Skyscraper, yeah.
So that's the last one I was on. So yeah, I mean, obviously I was alive, barely.
You were live,
but
yeah. But it wasn't live. It wasn't
No.
live coming to you from the cinema.
So the last one we did was, gosh, yeah, I don't remember.
Summer. Okay.
Summer anyway.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Tonight we are going to see a sequel. The sequel to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And I've just learned it's called Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. So last time Dave and I reviewed this movie, I very quickly looked up, was November 2016, so actually 2 years ago. And we had my stepsister Jasmina on the podcast. So the plan had been to get Jasmina back for this, but we couldn't get it to work logistically. And then, lo and behold, my mother's visiting, and we are also fellow Harry Potter fans. Yeah? You've read them all?
Interestingly, I started reading, Elizabeth was small, and Elizabeth's been on the podcast too now. She's big enough to read herself.
Just about.
But I started reading them out loud to her. She must have been 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time we got to, I remember it was the first one, I read her the first chapter out loud, and then I went to bed and finished the book. And I actually was up all night reading it.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, so that's how it kind of went. I always was one book ahead of her.
Yeah, and we all then in our house got obsessed to the point where we remembered earlier that one year we bought 3 of the books on opening night because none of us could wait for anyone else to finish it.
They're still at home. I think it was
so many of them.
Yeah,
probably one of the last ones.
Yeah.
So anyway, neither of us could remember the last movie, which probably isn't a very good sign. So we had to Wikipedia the plot synopsis. And then I couldn't remember if I'd enjoyed it or not, so I had to have a quick listen to the start of my last podcast. I don't normally go back and just randomly listen to old podcast episodes, but it was useful, so apparently I liked it, but had a few issues with it. Mom, do you remember what you thought of it?
Well, it's really interesting because I Wikipedia'd it as well. We were in the playground today and I just got bored even reading the plot summary.
Yeah.
And I know I saw it, I know I enjoyed it, and I have no idea who I went with, but it's one of those movies I'd be really surprised if I went on my own.
Yeah.
But I did remember enjoying it now. The only thing I'll say, what's his name? Eddie Redmayne. There is some reference on your previous podcast to me being genetically predisposed to not liking him.
Yeah, you didn't like Eddie Redmayne.
I didn't like him.
Yeah.
And I'd have to say I still don't especially like him. But I think when I was thinking about it today, I do associate him with Les Miserables and that whole sort of darkness and that singing, empty chairs at empty tables. That's kind of, I picture him like that, but I did like him. I did like the last movie.
I mean, he's good. Yeah, again, I mean, I'm not bowled over by his performances usually, but I think he's really good. I remember there being like the young dark wizard in the first one being really good, and I remember like being just so happy to be back in the Harry Potter world again, but ultimately not, I basically can't remember the movie. Now, the biggest disappointment for me of the last movie...
Was it the suitcases, Cathy?
The suitcases were very annoying, how they kept opening, but actually, at the very end, Colin Farrell, who I love, turned out to be Grindelwald in disguise, and when his disguise faded away, it was Johnny Depp. And I can't stand Johnny Depp. And I'm not talking about the personal accusations against him, which are gross, because look, who knows, they haven't been proven, blah blah blah. But actually, just as an actor, I find him such an over actor. I've hated him since basically the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I really enjoyed his performance and thought it was like really unusual. He has done that performance in every movie he's been in since. I can't stand watching him on screen, and there's been a lot of people who are actually boycotting this movie because of his presence, mainly because of the accusations against him. But I think also on the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie he made, there was huge accusations of him just being completely unprofessional, to the point where he would wear a headset and people would like read his lines to him on set, and he'd like come up hours late to set, which costs any big studio like millions of dollars when you do that. So he's got a really bad reputation at the moment. So I'm really surprised he was cast, and like J.K. Rowling has come out really in favour of him. So I'm going to try not let that bias me, and I'll give him credit because I don't know how he's going to play this role, and I really hope he doesn't just play Johnny Depp in this role.
Yeah, well, I never was a great Johnny Depp fan, and I guess I don't have any personal opinion really on the allegations. But interestingly, because during the summer I went to see, completely randomly, but Don McLean was playing Cork, and after buying the tickets I read that there had been very similar allegations. And charges.
Know that.
Yeah, charges had been dropped because of payoffs, and I was kind of sick to my stomach going to see him. But then he went on stage, and he's still a performer playing the much loved songs, and we don't know. We don't know what goes on or what backstories there are, and it's very easy to judge. I've just never really liked the parts he's played. Did he do Edward Scissorhands? Was that him?
He did.
Yeah, right from back then I never liked him. As you said, too much overacting.
I liked his Edward Scissorhands performance because it was cool, and it was like, to me, I loved the movie. But basically, I've never seen him play a normal character, and I think that's actually a bad sign of an actor, that he can't play a straight guy. He always has to play someone who's just really weird.
Wacky.
And it's just like, okay, so you're just playing yourself then. But anyway, enough about Johnny Depp.
Exactly. I was only thinking the same thing.
I'm excited to go to the cinema with my mom because I love going to the cinema.
So.
Especially a
And
Harry Potter-ish one.
I'm also kind of excited because we're going to a new cinema, one I haven't been to before. I think it's newly opened. So I am looking forward to it because apparently they have reclining seats.
They do.
And cocktails now. And I have been known to fall asleep at a cinema. So I'm guessing this won't, because honestly, I love the magic. I love magic. I loved the last one. I do remember being surprised at how much I enjoyed it because it's escapism, and I love escapism, especially when it's coupled with a nice cocktail.
Exactly, and when it's set in like the 20s, you know, the roaring 20s, it was set in New York. I mean, the money is just incredible that's poured into creating this world. And so the cinema's apparently going to be serving cocktails, one for each house. So so there's Slytherin, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw.
Oh wow.
What are you?
I don't know, but will there be a sorting hat on the way in?
I don't think so, but I did an online test once. You can do one on Pottermore, the J.K. Rowling website, and I got Gryffindor.
Okay.
What did you get? Have you done it?
I haven't, no.
What would you get? I would guess that you're a Ravenclaw.
Would you?
Yeah.
Well, because I'm so nice?
Yeah, I think so.
Aww.
Yeah. Or a Slytherin, depending on what day I get you.
Oh, I certainly had a thing for Snape. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
I had such a thing for Snape.
Yeah, Mum fancied Snape. Anyway, right, we're off to the lovely light cinema where we're going to drink cocktails and may or may not fall asleep in our seats.
Yeah, and fun for, it's Friday, isn't it?
Yes, it is
Friday night fun.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Bye.
The wizarding and non-wizarding worlds have been at peace for over a century. Grindelwald wants to see that peace destroyed.
You want me to hunt him down? To kill him? Dumbledore, why can't you go?
I cannot move against Grindelwald. It has to be you.
We are back, and for any new listeners, I forgot to say, I do normally do this podcast with my husband Dave, but we've ditched him tonight. So Mom, opinions on the movie? Opinions on the cinema? Opinions on the wine we drank?
Oh, the wine was good.
Yeah.
And unexpected. I mean, back home in Ireland, we all we get is Diet Coke and popcorn, so I'm not used to wine in the cinema, so I'm a bit sleepy.
Well, we did the right thing, which was that, well, first of all, we decided in the end not to get cocktails.
True.
We were going to get a glass of wine each, and then it's like, well, it's nearly the same price to get a bottle, so it would be bad business to get a glass each.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had the bottle.
So, yeah, the wine was good. The cinema's actually really lovely. I mean, big shout out to the new cinema. What's the Light? Is that what it's called? Light Cinema. Really nice, really comfortable. I ran into a bit of trouble with the reclining chairs. I kept standing up and making a huge noise. A huge
to the point where once when Mom got up and made all the noise, the woman next to me looked at me and laughed at Mom, and I laughed back.
Pleasant evening. Honestly, I did not enjoy the movie. I found it, I don't want to say it was a bad movie, because
we can say it's a bad movie.
I don't know if it was a bad movie. I know I was like profoundly bored.
Yeah.
And
at one point I really thought you were asleep because you were completely reclined and your eyes were looked closed.
I wasn't asleep, and I don't want to say like I didn't follow it because I'm stupid. I mean, I might be a bit stupid, but I just didn't follow it because I kind of couldn't get interested enough, and It was
made no sense. I think that's why you couldn't follow it.
Convoluted. It was a very shallow plot or a very uninteresting plot. And what was kind of weird, and I'm not sure I liked it, but it started tying in very much with the Harry Potter. It started reintroducing the names, the themes, the characters, Dumbledore, the school, Lestrange, and I thought
prophecy about a young boy.
Yeah. So I thought, they're just kind of bringing it right into the Harry Potter movies, and I mean, I think the effects were good. There was lots of magic, but I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it. It didn't do anything for me. I would have rather be home watching whatever we've been watching on television.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think for a movie about magic, it had no magic for me as a viewer. And I'm the world's biggest Harry Potter fan. I've read every single book at least 5 times. I've seen all the original movies a lot. Granted, I didn't revisit the first in this franchise, but I really enjoyed this one at the time. I would say it was lifeless, it was pointless, it was endless. I really thought you were asleep at one point and I was so happy for you. It was long and meandering. I felt like we'd no protagonist. I didn't know who I was following. There was 30 characters, none of whom had any... There was no depth, like you said, it was completely shallow. There was no depth to their plots. I didn't care for them. I didn't care about them. I could barely follow how they interacted. Certain scenes cropped up and I didn't know where they'd come from. What else did I think? Just to touch on what you said around the repetitiveness. I'm sorry, I'm a huge fan of J.K. Rowling. I love the Harry Potter books and I love the Robert Galbraith crime books she writes. I really loved the other book she wrote, of the name of which I forget. No, Casual Vacancy. I thought that was amazing. I'm a big fan of her writing, but I don't know if her talents lie in script writing, because this was a bad script. I think it's fair to say, and the only elements of it I really enjoyed are, as you said, bits that kind of harked back to Harry Potter, but it felt cheap, like they were just trying to take advantage of the fact that I love Harry Potter, to have Nicholas Flamel, the guy we know from the Philosopher's Stone,
yes, that was so random.
Yeah, and it's it's Nicholas Flamel, and it's wait, that's nothing, that's just that's a name drop, that's all that is. And then again, Eddie Redmayne, I'm sure I had this issue last time, even though I didn't listen to the full review this morning, but at no point in this movie, I would challenge anyone to find a single frame of this movie where Eddie Redmayne, either his torso or his head, is not turned sideways. Why is that the case? Why can he not look at the screen when he's talking? Why is his entire body at this weird angle? I find it so distracting. I can't even pay attention to what he's saying or doing at any point. I was disappointed that it's been referenced verbally by J.K. Rowling, although it wasn't explicit in the books, that Grindelwald and Dumbledore were lovers. No mention of that in the movie. Did you hear that? Yeah, they're were a couple as teenagers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So no mention of that in the movie, which I thought was a shame.
Well, they did the whole... Are we on Spoiler Street?
We can go to Spoiler Street.
Okay.
We'll go straight to Spoiler Street.
Look
Yeah.
at this street.
Oh, hello,
What's
Spoiler
this
Street.
called? Oh, this is Spoiler Street.
This is Spoiler Street.
Which isn't much of a spoiler, where they did this whole blood brother things, cutting their hands and swearing to something.
Well, I guess they exchanged some bodily feuds in the movie.
But I didn't get that they were lovers. But I will say something you said, too many characters, because at one point Eddie, why can't I never say his second, Redmayne?
Eddie Sideways.
Yeah, Eddie Side Glance. He came into the shot with whoever he was with, and I was like, oh! I'd forgotten he was even in the movie. It had been so long since we'd seen him, so he wasn't the main character. Johnny Depp wasn't the main character. As you said, we had no protagonist.
No.
We had nobody really that we were rooting for.
I rooted in the first movie. I do recall rooting for Queenie. Didn't like her in this movie at all.
She
comes in as someone who's manipulating somebody, and she ends as a Grindelwald supporter, which I was like, huh? I mean, that's literally a plot device, right? Her character change.
And there's so much just left open, just waiting for the next movie, that we'll have to wait for 2 years.
Yeah, which I'm saying it now, I'm not going to that movie.
I'm sick of the whole Harry Potter franchise that has you hanging on so long.
Yeah.
At least 25 years of my life have been given over to waiting for Harry Potter movies, and I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done. I mean, let's get real. We were not waiting for this. There's no buzz around this movie. People aren't saying, I can't wait to see the new Fantastic Beasts movie.
I don't know where it's going. And the thing is, I mean, initially I just thought it's too dark. It's all the dark arts. And all taken so like casually, so that all this stuff that was wondrous in the Harry Potter movies is just what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, just killing and maiming and
I think part of
fireballs.
Like it was interesting in the first movie because we'd never seen grown-ups doing magic before outside of the confines of Hogwarts. But like now it was just like business as usual. And I think a lot of what made the original movies like genuinely magical was that we were seeing things through the eyes of Harry Potter, who was a muggle, for the first time. So things were being actively explained to us and things were being lingered on. So there was like really amazing establishing shots in those movies of Hogwarts and every new spell he learns we learn about. This is just like so much just, oh, here's magic. No one's paying any attention to it. And the computer graphics, I know you said you thought it looked good, but I thought it looked terrible. I thought like the whole scene in the Ministry of Magic looked like it was done on a computer. I never felt like that with the Harry Potter movies. I thought loads of the creatures looked just completely computer generated. I was just so disappointed. And the bits that I would have liked, and you know, the bits that were set in Hogwarts, I didn't like them because they're just crap compared to the original movies.
Oh yeah, they were terrible.
Yeah.
And the weird thing, the wands, what about them? Remember we used to get Harry Potter wands in the pound shop?
Yeah.
That's what they look like.
That's what they look like. That is what they look like.
Even more pathetic than the pound shop wands.
Because at least we only paid £1 for them. What do you think of Jude Law as Dumbledore?
It didn't work for me. I like Jude Law.
Yeah, same.
I do like Jude Law. And I thought he played the part well, but when you've seen the old Dumbledore, I don't know that you can go back to Jude Law.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought he did a really good job. But where was the Irish accent? Because Dumbledore is Irish in the other movies. So
he is.
Yeah, so he's posh in English in this movie.
Posh.
So that bothered me. Newt's brother, don't know what that was about. I just thought he was so dull.
Was he in the first movie? If he was, he didn't make any impression on me.
If he was, I didn't remember him. And I also didn't remember a plot of apparently Newt's girlfriend is engaged to his brother. Why? Why is his girlfriend engaged to his brother? I don't understand what's happening in that instance.
Who I did like, the only one I did like is Newt's love interest. What's her name? The one he goes to Paris after?
Can't even remember her name because
Yeah.
she's barely in it.
Barely
Queenie's
in it.
sister.
Queenie's sister, but I like her. She's very cool. She's very
She's
laid
cool.
back.
She's
Yeah,
in the new
cool.
Alien movie that came out last year.
Okay.
She's cool. But again, their relationship, I found even in the first movie, I remember thinking that they'd had like a brother and sisterish relationship, and then I was surprised at the end when they kissed. Like, I feel like they've zero chemistry.
Well, then it didn't evolve or develop, so it's almost like they're still working on that kind of, what it called, pubescent, adolescent thing that they had going on in Hogwarts, but these are adults
Yeah,
in
these
their
are
30s
grown-ups.
who are still asexual with each other.
Yeah, it's weird.
Now, there's one thing that worked for me in the movie. The young Newt.
He was good.
I was like, how could you have cast somebody so perfectly?
Well, I think it's quite easy. You give them
Just
the
grow
silly
his hair
and
make
you tell
him
him to
look
look
downwards.
sideways. Yeah, that's it.
But it worked.
Literally, they gave him the hair and they made it just at any point of at least
And they gave him
90%
acne.
of your body. Yeah, but he was good. But
He was
like,
good. And
and we have to get to Johnny Depp. I mean, God, like, I couldn't bear it. My skin was crawling. I just kept thinking, why is he in this movie? Why is he in this movie? Why is he in this movie? He's like not only the worst actor in the movie, but he's just like, he's so intense, and his intensity makes me feel really ill. And I don't think it worked because Grindelwald, excuse me, in the intro to this I said Grindelwald, but Grindelwald is supposed to be really charismatic, and he just isn't. Like, you don't watch it feeling like, oh wow, I see why all these people are following him. It's like, ew, it's Johnny Depp with bleached hair and a bad haircut and weird contact lenses in.
Old looking too, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's
it's just
getting,
none
yeah.
of it worked. And if he did not appear, look, I don't know what age Johnny Depp and Jude Law are, but they were supposed to be contemporaries, and they did not look the same age.
No, they didn't look the same age.
No, like, just I don't understand why the whole of the first movie, Grindelwald is like disguised as Colin Farrell, right? Who I love, and then he became Johnny Depp. Okay, when all the controversy happened about, you know, signing him, and like everyone hates it, just go back to Colin Farrell again. Just like, oh yeah, he swapped faces again, or any
Actually,
other actor. You don't need to keep
put
him.
anybody in there.
Put me in
Anybody.
there. I'll do a better job, honestly, and I'll charge way less
Well,
money.
they could give you a weird eye contact
Yeah,
contact lens.
I'd be into it.
I
But,
think
oh,
the thing is,
God.
I didn't even understand what he was doing. It's
No.
like Pinky and the Brain. What are we doing today? The same thing we do every day.
Yeah, I actually meant to say that. Like, what is even Grindelwald's
No idea.
motivation? It's like, oh yeah, magic people want to rule the world. Okay.
Okay.
And basically, it's just like, Dumbledore and Grindelwald. Just like in the other movie, it was Dumbledore and Voldemort. And it's like, a prophecy about a young boy.
Are they the same people, do you think? Does Grindelwald become Dumbledore?
No, because in the Harry Potter books, they reference this huge battle between Grindelwald and Dumbledore. So I guess that's going to happen in the next movie that I'm never going to see. So, boring. Obviously, Dumbledore will figure out how to destroy this blood bond or whatever that they have. The best one was definitely the Lestrange woman, the fiance of Newt's
She was
brother.
okay. She was good. She worked.
She was good, and I like that she sacrificed herself to save them. What I didn't understand is at all. Okay, when her little baby brother was crying and they were on a boat, her solution was to swap him with another baby in the next room.
Who wasn't crying?
Yeah,
that was her
main. But that's like, just put him in another room. Don't bother. Like, that made no sense, and I couldn't properly remember the plot of the.
But was it the Titanic? Was that the inference? It was sometime just before the 20s, and then the next scene they were on lifeboats.
Yeah,
I think it might have been the Titanic.
Actually.
Yeah, I think
could
it
have
was.
been the Titanic, but his character, and I think he's a really good actor, the guy who plays the kid they're all after, or the young man they're all after. I think he's actually really good. I think his name's Ezra Miller.
Okay.
I think he does really stand out in this movie as being like a star. But again, he's barely given any screen time. And I didn't understand at the end, how is he related to Dumbledore? And I feel like I have a vague memory.
His brother, was that the inference?
No, Dumbledore's brother was the guy at the very start who swapped places with Johnny Depp in the carriage.
Gotcha.
Because I remembered his name, because in the end of Harry Potter he leads all the kids through the tunnel and helps them, and he runs the pub, the Hogsmeade, the pub where they get all the butterbeer.
Okay, one of my actual concerns at this moment in time is we may be boring our listeners as much as we were bored ourselves. Like,
but
there's
just
there's really nothing else
why
to say.
is this kid related to Dumbledore? I remember from the book that Dumbledore's sister, before she died, had a baby. I think.
Oh, you think it's Dumbledore's nephew?
I think so. I mean, and if I could ever be bothered, I might Google it after this. But
are you going to put yourself out on a limb here, Cathy, and say
it's
this
Dumbledore's
is Dumbledore's nephew?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Are we going to listen in 2 years' time and check your prediction?
I don't think so. But yeah, look, let's wrap it up. We don't recommend it.
I don't recommend it. No.
I mean, we had half a bottle of wine each, and we didn't enjoy it. So, forget about it.
We enjoyed the wine.
Oh, we enjoyed the wine and the peanut M&Ms, so that was fun. And the cinema, it was lovely. And going out together, because we love that.
And honestly, I mean, I know I'm so easygoing. I enjoy most movies. This one was just...
No. I find it objectionable. Do you know what? It's just someone destroying their own legacy. Like, please, J.K. Rowling, stop, okay? Nobody needs to see any more Harry Potter stuff.
I'm piggybacking on Harry Potter. That's what made me sad.
And now it's made money. I had a quick look at the box office, but it's not... the latter Harry Potter movies, when it got really big, made a lot more money than this.
And no Fantastic Beasts.
No.
That's actually misleading.
It is misleading.
There was no Fantastic Beasts.
There was just some computer generated beasts.
Yeah, and there was some very boring humans.
Yeah, so yeah. Dull all around. And I think one of the big core joys for me with the first movie was the relationship between Queenie and her boyfriend. And in this movie it was like, okay, 1 minute she's bewitching him, next minute she's Grindelwald's slave. So
to be fair to say, there was no core joy for you.
There was no joy and there was no magic. But anyway, thank you, Mom, so much for coming back.
Yeah,
you're a much requested guest on this podcast. Have you followed us on Apple Podcasts?
I'm not an Apple kind of girl.
Oh, right, okay. How do you listen to the Cinemal then?
Generally I go to your website,
which is
cinemal.com.
Thanks, Mom. So if you haven't been to our website before, check it out, cinemal.com, or go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Did you know we're on Spotify?
I did know you're on Spotify. I actually just recently got a free Spotify account.
So you've listened to ads before you listen to
Yeah,
us.
no, so dull. But I also look at your Facebook page.
Oh, thanks, Mum.
And you you update it, but not as often as you do your other platforms. But you're available.
Thanks, Mum.
You're findable.
And thank you for coming on, and please God, let us never see another Harry Potter movie.
Well,
Let's just go back and watch Prisoner of Azkaban together.
You know, I'd hate to bury. I'm not ready to bury Harry Potter, so I'm ready to be
revisit
surprised.
the old ones.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And maybe that's what I want to do, is watch some old.
I just
want to
watch the third one. Yeah. Let's do it. Okay. Bye.
Bye.